What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be reviewing the game Subsearch. This game came out in 1973 from Milton Bradley, and it is for 2 players. Now, Subsearch is a 3D battleship game of sorts, and the object of this game is you're going to be trying to sink your opponent's subs, or if possible, you're going to try to sink your opponent's surface ships. So let's show you Subsearch. Okay, everybody, let's get right to it. We will go ahead and start with the different components over here. And each player is going to receive 3 of these subs. You've got yellow, which is going to be on this side, and then red, which is going to be on the side that I'm going to be showing. And what you're going to do is you're going to place these subs on these 3 different grids over here. These represent the depth. This is 100 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet or so. Now, you can place these subs on any one of these grid markings. You can put 3 on the top level. You can split them up however you want to. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just simply place them over here for now. Now, everybody is going to receive 3 of these surface ships over here, and what these are what are called depth charges. During your turn, you're going to have the option to firing one of these things, and then they're going to go down below, and what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to eliminate the 3 subs. You've got one ship here that holds 4, you've got one ship that holds 3, and then you have one ship that holds 2. Right over here is a mine, and you're going to be placing this on the first level. And if it turns out that the opposing player ends up landing, let's say I happen to have the mine over here on number 5, and my opponent ends his turn on 5, that is going to go ahead and activate the mine, and that is going to go ahead and blow up his ship. And you're going to basically let your opponent know that he landed on your mine before he does anything. And what they suggest doing is just writing down the position on a piece of paper, and then whenever they land on the mine, you'll just simply show them as proof. Okay, so the game basically is going to be won in one of 2 ways. You can either blow up 3 of your opponent's subs, or you can blow up all 3 of their surface ships, and I'll talk about how that works here in a little bit. Now, you'll note over here, these are torpedo shots. On your turn, you're going to be able to fire a torpedo from one of your ships if it turns out your opponent's ship is in the same column as one of your subs. So for example, as you can see, this red sub is a number 8. So let's just say this ship happened to be on number 26. Well, since he is in the same column as the sub, on your turn, if you would like to, you can fire a torpedo at him, and then what you're going to do is you're going to use this little spinner over here, and I'll talk about how that works here in just a little bit. So on a turn, let's just say red is going to go ahead and start. He'll be able to move one of these ships up to 3 spaces, and he can move them in any direction that he would choose to. And you can basically leave from any of these sea lanes. So let's just say he ends up on number 28 over here. And he decides, okay, I'm going to go ahead and fire a depth charge down number 28. So what it's going to do is going to go hit 28 here, 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 and here. Now what he's going to do is he's going to call out a level as well. So let's just say he decides, okay, I'm going to go ahead and call out level 200 and number 28. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and look to see if there are any ships in that area. And I don't know if you can see it, but there are no ships anywhere close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply tell my opponent that he is completely missed. And so then he will go ahead and get rid of one of his depth charges, and then it will go to me. Now, if he runs out of depth charges, he's going to have to basically go back over to the home port and refill. And when that happens, he will go back here, and then on his next turn, he will be able to go back out and start firing again. And let's just say I happen to land over here on 22, and I decide that I'm going to go ahead and call 122. So my opponent looks and he says that I have completely missed. So here's how I'm going to mark it. I'm going to take these little white pegs over here. I'm going to mark on the top that that 22 is not close, but I'm also going to mark it like this on either side. What a near miss is if I'm able to either be 1 space away horizontally or vertically. So if it turned out that his ship was, say, on number 28, that would be a near miss. And I'll talk about how that works in a minute. But right now, let's just say I completely missed. I will go ahead and I will place the pegs like this, this being the location and this being the locations where there could have been a near miss but is not. Now I'm also going to place a peg directly beneath number 22 on the next level, like so. Now whenever you're calling out a near miss, let me just show you how that works real quick. Let's just say I went ahead and I called out number 222, and my opponent said that I got a near miss. Let's say I call it out over here. That means that there's a sub here, 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 or directly above or directly below me. So the way it would work is I'll mark it like this. Since I called out 222, there's no sub there, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to mark the surrounding areas with a red peg, meaning that there could possibly be a sub in that area, like so. I'll go ahead and do this real quick. Now what I'm also going to do, a near miss can also count if it turns out that there is a sub in the 22 in the area directly above or below where I called. So since I called that 22, a near miss could also constitute a sub directly above me, so I'll go ahead and put a near miss here, and directly below me, so I'll put another near miss symbol over here. So now this will kind of give me an idea as to where the subs can be. So what I'll go ahead and do is, again, I'll remove one of the depth charges. Now if it turns out I end up scoring a direct hit, let's say in this case I called out 122, and it turned out my opponent had a sub on that area, that would be a direct hit, and I would go ahead and mark it with this flag, and this would simply mean that the ship is sunk and the sub will be out of the game. And so what I'll go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and mark it around again like this, just to signify that there are no subs in that area, but there'll basically be a direct hit located, and that will sink one of my opponent's subs. Now on my turn, after I move and I do the depth charge, if I would like to, I'll have an option of shooting the torpedo if my opponent happens to be in the same column as one of my ships. So let's just say the ship happens to be over here and he has missed me, and I happen to have a sub right over here. Again, since they are in the same column, on my turn, as my last act, I will be able to fire a torpedo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this spinner over here and I'm going to go ahead and spin it like so. And in this case, I missed. Now I'm going to have to tell my opponent which ship that I'm going to be shooting for, and then spin this thing. Now, the advantage is that you can sink your opponent's sub if you actually end up getting it in the hit area over here. But the caveat is that your opponent is going to know that your ship is somewhere in this column, and so he's going to be able to try to find you better if you try to shoot off the torpedo. Now, a rule with setting these things up, you can't have a sub be directly underneath the mine or two subs on the same space. What's going to happen is everybody's going to continue taking their turns like this, and the game is going to end when someone sinks all three of his opponent's subs or sinks all three of his opponent's surface ships. And that, folks, is Sub Search. So my final thoughts on Sub Search. Well, this is another one of Milton Bradley's thick box games. As you can tell, it is pretty thick. And if you're a fan of the game Battleship, I have no doubt that you are going to enjoy Sub Search. I really like the way this game looks. I love the 3D look of the game. I love the three tiers that you get to choose from. And I don't know if you saw it, but each of the tiers, the boards, are a different shade of blue. The deeper you go down, the darker blue it is. So that's a pretty cool little artwork feature. It's a fun game. I think if I had to choose between this one and Battleship, I think I like this one better than Battleship. It does seem a little simple when you first start because you're going to be able to actually mark off about 7 spaces. But trust me, this game is not as easy as it looks because each of the subs are only on one of the spaces in the 3D board. So even when you're closing off a lot of spaces, that sub could very easily be in a space that's surrounded by them. My wife, for example, missed one of my subs. She had white pegs all around it except for this one spot, and it turned out that's where one of my subs were. So yeah, this is a fun game. My only wish is that they would have made the hit zone on the spinner just a little bit bigger. My wife and I were both able to sink one of each other's surface ships, even though the chances of hitting it are probably like a 10% chance. But if you wanted to make it bigger, you could probably use like red electrical tape or something like that just to put on that zone, just to make it a little bit bigger. I like the risk factor of it for sure, because if you miss, then your enemy is going to know, have an idea as to where you are. So there is a risk-reward factor for this for sure. This game probably goes for around $30 or so on eBay plus shipping. It's not a hard game to learn. This would just simply be for people who like family-friendly games. So guys, that's my review of Sub Search. We'll see you later. Keep on gaming.